Hello, my friends and able developers. You are highly welcome to my channel. My name is Mr. Adinuba, and in today's tutorial, we are going to be building a very unique web application using React.js. This project is an animated travel agency web application and it has both light and dark mode. This project is going to be very helpful for those of you who are just starting out, that is the beginners. Don't panic if you don't know how React really functions yet. All you need to know in order to follow this project is the basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is a step-by-step tutorial, and trust me, you are going to learn a lot in this tutorial if you build this project together with me. Before we go into the demo of what we are about to build today, help me grow on YouTube by subscribing to my channel and also liking and commenting on this video so that YouTube will distribute it to more and more audience. The best way to say thank you to me is by subscribing to the channel and also liking and commenting on this video. As you do that, thank you so much. I appreciate. Now let's take a look at the demo of what we are about to build in today's tutorial. As you can see on load of this project, you can see the animations, and this is cool. Uh, this is the navbar section of this project. Look at the home and look at this drop down. Look at the smooth transition of the drop down. This is beautiful. All right, so this is a navbar, and we can switch the dark mode by clicking here. If we want to switch back to light mode, we click again to switch back to light mode. And that is cool. All right, so this is the header. And let's scroll. This next section is looking cool. Look at the popular destinations. Awesome. We can go to the next, we can also go backwards here, clicking on the previous button. And that is awesome. So look at the about section and look at this counter right here. When we scroll into this section, it starts counting, and we're going to learn how to do that. This is the testimonial sections, and it looks awesome, and it also auto scroll on its own. Right here we have on the left here is the frequently asked question section, and look at it. We can open each of the block, and here on the right is the contact form, and that is awesome. So right here is the newsletter section, and awesome. So we also have the future, and this is it here. Beautiful. And as you can see, this looks so awesome. So we're going to be learning how to do all of these in today's tutorial. The next thing I want you to know is that this project is very responsive. So I'm going to open it in mobile right now. So take a look at it. It's still loading, and look at it. So you see it is very responsive, and we can open the sidebar, and when we click on this overlay, the sidebar goes back, and as you can see, it is very responsive, and it will fit perfectly on every device, including tablet, and that is cool. So this is what we're going to be learning how to do today. Please, guys, if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel. My dream this year is to get to 100K subscriber before the year runs out. Please help me achieve that dream by subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much, and let's get started. On the left side of the screen is my VS Code, and on the right side of the screen is Firefox browser. And as you can see here, I've opened the starter code for this project, and here is the link. I'll be placing this link on the description section of this video. So let's go ahead and create a new project. And right here, let's navigate to Documents. And right here, I'm going to create a new folder called Carvings. I hit on Create and hit on Open. And here is it, Open as root folder. Let's click on this icon to open the terminal. So here in the terminal, I'm going to be creating a new application using Vite. So let's say npm create Vite at latest dot forward slash so that it will create it on this root folder. So hit enter and yes, and use arrow button to navigate to React and click enter. And also navigate to JavaScript using the arrow button and click enter. As you can see, it has created a React application for us. And let's go ahead and install the dependencies we need by using npm install and hit on enter. And as you can see, it has installed those dependencies that we need for this project. So let's go ahead and run this application using npm run dev command. Holding on command, or if you're on Windows, hold on control and click on that link. And as you can see, this is the default application. So as you can see, what we see on the screen is the content of app.js. And for we to be able to understand this, let's delete the src folder and we're going to create it again from scratch. First of all, take a look at this index.html. Let's change the title to another title. And let's just write this here. And take a look at this link. As you can see, it's linking to a main.js file within the src folder. So let's create src folder. And let's go ahead and create main.js file within our src folder. So here in the main.js, we're going to be selecting the root. So let's say const root, and we use document dot get element by ID, then we'll pass the root ID. So it's now select this. So let's go ahead and console the root. Let's see if it was selected. And let's go to the browser and open the console. As you can see, the root is selected right here. Now, let's come back to our main.js, and up here, we're going to be importing create root from React forward slash client. All right. So here we're going to see create root. Then we're going to pass the root, and we're going to see dot render. And within this render method, we can then render any element we want to render here. So let's just render this and look at it. It's being rendered here on the browser. You see, whenever I make changes, you see it's refreshed automatically. So instead of rendering this, we're going to be creating a one component that we're going to be rendering here, and every other component will be rendered within this one component we're creating. So this component is app.js. So let's import this app.js into here and let's render it. So as you can see, but we can do it this way for short. And next, we want to detect error that occurs in this project while we are building. So let's import street mode and let's wrap the app within street mode. So this will help us to detect bugs and solve it. All right. Now let's go back to app and delete this style attribute. Let's now create a new file called index.css and let's write the style for each one right here. Now let's go back to main.js and let's import the index.css before the import of app. We're importing the before app so that other styles we're writing within the component we're creating within app will override it. So let's go ahead and delete this. The next thing we need to do is let's create a folder called asset. Now here is our starter code, and within the starter code, we have the asset folder right here. So go ahead, download the starter code, or if you have Git installed, copy this link and use git clone command to clone it. So I already have this asset folder in my computer. So what I would do is I'll go to my folder within my computer and copy it and paste it on this current project. So I'll highlight, copy it, and let's locate where I created it inside document. And here is it. This is my asset folder that I just created. So paste them here and look at all the images right here. Next, let's create data.js file and let's go to our starter code. So I'm going to open the data.js file here and let's copy all the data we have right here. So click here and copy this and paste it right into our code. So these are the data we're going to be using in the different components that we're going to be creating in today's tutorial. So instead of writing everything in each of the components, instead of writing it one after the other, uh, that would take a lot of time. That is why I have organized all the data here so that we can just integrate it in the different components that we're going to be creating whenever we need any of them. And this will save us a lot of time. So please make sure you click on the starter code link on the description section of this video and go ahead and make use of the starter code. Now look at all the different data we're going to be iterating over, we're going to be making use of in the different components we're going to be creating. This is awesome. This is awesome. All right. We have imported the necessary images and exported the necessary images. So now install React icons because we made use of React icons here. We imported React icons from uh, some icons from React icons. So we need to install React icon by using npm install React icons and hit enter. As you can see, it has been installed successfully. And next, let's go ahead. Look at it here. It's installed. React icon is already installed. So let's go ahead and write the general styles. So before I will start writing the general styles, let's go back to our starter code and let's open index.css. So here is the CSS variables we're going to be using in this tutorial. We have CSS variables, the general ones that we can use on the light mode, and the one we're going to be using specifically for the dark mode. So when the time comes, we're going to be explaining how we can switch from light mode to dark mode. Now let's go to font.google.com. We're going to be using an icon called Ether. So let's add it to the cart. Let's go back again and let's search for Roboto. Or let's say Poppins. Poppins will be fine. So let's also add it to cart. So we have two of them. Let's click on Get Embed Code and let's start this. So make sure this is on web and change it to at import because we want to add it to CSS. So before the root at the top here, let's paste it and let's remove the style tag because this is a CSS file and HTML tags is not allowed. All right. So we have iter and poppins here. All right. This is the font we're going to be using. So let's write the general styles right here. So the general styles are the reusable styles we can use in the different sections of our code so that we will not be writing it each time we want to make use of them. So this is the universal selector and anything you write within the universal selector will affect everything in the page. So let's also style the HTML and the body. So let's say the font family is Poppins, and if Poppins is not available, you should use sans serif. Also, scroll behavior should be smooth, and scroll back color. And so you see, I'm already making use of all these variables that is right here. So let's style only the body, and let's give it overflow, right? Awesome. So we are writing this so that um, it will make our page looks very clean, very beautiful, and very smooth. So let's keep on going, writing this general styles. So for the image, this is the general styles for our image, every image on this page. And also for the anchor tag, give it the color, give it a text decoration of known, and transition, we give it the variable transition, and the text meter, so give it color text meter as the value of the column, and flat center, flat and flat center. So this, anytime we want to align items to the center, we just use flat center, and that is cool. So this session container, we're going to be using it to wrap and components we're creating so that it will have a maximum weight of 1,200 pixels and also some padding. Now let's create session header, and every session header will have a max width of 800 pixels and a margin of auto, also text align of center. Now let's select H1. We're going to be having H1 within session header and give it a color primary font size of 40 pixels. And also within session header, we're going to be having H2. Let's select it and give it a font size of 30 pixels. And now let's create a class called primary and give it a color primary. And also let's create a class called blur and let's say WebKit background filter and let's give it a blur and give it a value of 50 pixels. And also let's say backdrop filter and give it a blur of 50 pixels. Now for the buttons, so BTN, yeah, okay, so let's give it a font size. And okay, so let's say border radius, and also let's give it a font size of 0.88 rem and display of inline block. And also let's give it a background of color BG secondary, and let's give it a transition of bar transition and also cursor of pointer. Now let's say BTN primary. So for the button primary, we're going to give it a background of color primary and also a color of color white. And let's say BTN primary hover. So let's give it opacity of 0.7 when it's being hovered. Now let's select profile and let's give it a width of 3 rem and a height of 3 rem. And also to make sure that it doesn't shrink, we're going to give it a minimum width and minimum height, also maximum width and maximum height, okay, of the same value. Overflow, let's make sure it's hidden, and also border radius should be 100% since it's a profile container. Now let's say line clamp one. So when a text is more than one line, we want it to wrap. We want this container to replace the remaining text that we span across the remaining line with three dots. So that is what this line clamp one will do. So when we reach there, we're going to be making use of it, and we'll come back here to, I will remind you of this. So let's write some responsive code, and what we're going to do is say at mass width of 500 pixel, we're going to say session header. We're going to select the H1 within the session header, and let's give it a font size of 30 pixels. So we're reducing the font size. Also the H2, let's reduce the font size to 20 pixels. And this is it. So this is the general styles. Wow, this looks awesome. We can now go ahead and create the different components. If you take a look at the browser, you see some changes already. So let's first of all create a folder called sections. The first component we're going to be creating is the nav bar, of course. So let's create a folder called nav bar. And within this folder, let's create a navbar.js file. And let's create a component called navbar. Also, let's import it into our app, and let's clear up this and let's add a navbar. So as you can see, it's already added. And whenever we make changes in our navbar, the changes reflect. So let's wrap everything with empty fragments, which we're going to be adding other components after navbar. So let's create navbar.css file, and let's go to our navbar component and import the CSS file. So let's say import dot forward slash navbar.css. And right here, we can let's try styling this from our navbar CSS file. And as you can see, when we write some code here, it's working perfectly well. Awesome. So now let's create our navbar, change this to nav, and let's give it a class name of nav. Okay, first of all, make it flex and give it a class name of navbar. So let's create the logo. We're going to create a new folder called components. This folder is within SRC folder. And let's create a logo folder within our component folder. Let's create the logo.js file and also logo.css file. And let's go ahead and import logo.css into our logo.js file. And let's give it a class name of flex center, then logo. And we're going to be using this file, logo.svg. So let's import this file called logo.svg from the asset folder. And let's pass it here as the value of SRC here. And let's write convince within H1. Now let's go ahead and style the logo. Justify content, let's say flex start. And also let's select the image within the logo and give it object width of content and a width of 30 pixels. Also let's select the H1 within the logo and give it a font size of 30 pixels, font weight of 700 and font family of ETA. Awesome. Let's now go back to our navbar and let's import the logo right here. So I'll just turn this to logo and look at it here on the browser. So let's close this logo files. And now let's go ahead and create the other part. So let's create a URL and give it a class name of flex. And within it, let's create li, give it a flash center and also nav item class. And let's create an anchor tag within. So uh, for the href of the anchor tag, we are going to first of all give it the first one header. So this href value, the value I'm going to be giving it is going to be corresponding with the ID of the different sections we're going to be creating. So that whenever you click on this, it will scroll to the section that has that ID. All right. So this particular one that I'm using destination, so there will be a session wait that will have an ID of destination. So that whenever I click on this destination, it will scroll to that session that has the ID of destination. If you still don't understand it, we are going to reach that extent that you'll be able to understand it. Right? So if you don't understand it, don't bother yourself. As we continue, you'll be able to get it. All right. So this is what we have on the browser, and you can now go ahead and this particular one, services is going to have a drop down. So first, let's import an icon from the art icon. So it's called chevron down. So if you want to search for icons, you can go to React icons. You can search React icon on the web and open the search page so that you can search for any icon you wish. All right. So I just have to add the icon here. Let's create a drop, a nav drop here, and also let's create a drop wrapper here. And within this, I'm going to create two columns. So let's work on this first column before we now go to the second column. So for this first column, let's work on it. So I'm going to import the services here from our data.js. Look at the services. It has title, icon, and description. So I'm going to import the services right here. And I'm going to loop through the services using map. So services.map, let's say service, then key. So the index, I just decided to name it key so that we can pass it here so that React will be able to differentiate the different service we have. All right. So let's output the icon and also let's go ahead and we're going to output the title. And below that, we're going to also output the description. All right. So I'm using the line clamp one right here so that I just want this to occupy one line, no matter how long the text is, the description is, it only occupy one line. The remaining part of the text will be replaced with three dots. Awesome. So let's go ahead and style the second, create the second column I need to say. Let's write the code there. So here I'm going to have some description. So just some lorem with some text. So let's reduce it. And after that, let's create a button. I'm going to uh, use an anchor tag, and let's say service. That will be the href. So that when I click on this, it will scroll to the services section. Okay, so let's give it the B10 and B10 primary class. And let's duplicate this and let's change this one to about. And let's remove this B10 primary and let's say about us here, right? So that when I click on this, it will scroll to the about section. Also, let's create an image container. So I'm going to, let's import this image. So let's come over here. Let's call it create image, and we trace it to where it is within the asset. So make sure the tracing is very correct. If not, it will not work. Awesome. So let's add it here at the value of this SRC. And that is it. So look at the image over there. But if you take a look at the browser, everything is very scattered, right? It doesn't really look good, but we're going to handle that in a moment. So let's create this particular one here. So let's call it, it's the buttons wrapper. So this is after our that is our unordered list. So within this buttons wrapper, we create some different buttons. All right, the get started button and this second one will be the sign in button. Okay, so let's change this to sign in, and that is cool. So look at it, look at what we have currently, and look at the output on the browser. So it is the job of CSS to align this very well. So let's write some CSS code. Select navbar and give it align item stretch, justify content space between, gap 1 rem, padding top and bottom 0.5 rem, and left and right 1 rem. Also position absolute top 0, left 0, z index of 100, and width of 100%, and overflow of hidden. Also, let's go back here and let's add navigation after this flex. All right. So let's add navigation here and let's go ahead and select the navigation and let's give it a list style of none and align items of stretch. It already displays at plus. And also let's give the gap of 1 rem. Also let's select nav items, position it to relative, give it a cursor pointer and transition. We give it var transition variable, and let's select the nav link. When nav item is hovered on, we'll change the color to color primary. Awesome. And you can see when we hover, the color will be color primary. Now let's go ahead and select the chevron icon. So let's trace it very well. It is within nav link. So select it and we're going to give it a transition of to our transition. Also, let's select the nav drop. So let's trace it very well and give it, we're going to start by giving it a position of absolute top of 110%, left of 0, and Z index of 110. Z index should be above the Z index of the nav bar, which is 100. And let's give it a height of 0, width of 450 pixels, and overflow of hidden. Margin top should be 20 pixels, right should be 0, bottom should be 0, and left should be 20 pixels. Also, let's give it opacity of 0. Now, when we hover over nav item, let's make sure that the nav drop reviews itself. So let's give it a transition of var transition and overflow of visible and height of auto. Also, let's transform it by translating minus 20 pixels in the x-axis and minus 20 pixels in the y-axis. Let's give it opacity of 1. And now let's go ahead and select the chevron icon whenever the nav item is being hovered on. So we're going to transform the chevron icon by rotating it into minus 180 degree. All right, so that it will rotate. Look at it. That is awesome. Now let's select the drop wrap
And let's give it a background. We're going to use an RGB value here so that it will be somehow transparent. And we're going to say color BG secondary RGB and give it a quantity of 0.9. So this variable is already declared in our index.css, right? Look at this right here. Okay, so that's what we're using right here. Now let's give it a padding of 1 rem and a border radius of 1.5 rem. Also, let's display it to grid and let's give it a grid template column of first column will be auto, second column will be 200 pixel. And let's give it a gap of 1 rem and also give it a box shadow. And let's use this dark color. All right. Now let's go ahead and select the left column within our drop and let's give it a background color BG secondary and also give it a padding of 1 rem and give it a border radius of 1.5 rem. Now let's go ahead and select the service within our drop wrapper. We have a service there. Let's give it a gap of 1 rem, a margin, top and bottom 15 pixel, margin left and right 0 pixel, and a transition of transition. Let's also select the service on hover. We're going to select the H4 within it and let's give it a color of color primary. Also, let's select the icon. All right, the icon within our drop wrapper. Let's give it the color of color primary and also give it a font size of 18 pixel. And now within our drop wrapper, we'll have H2. Let's select it and let's give it a font size of 16 pixel and a font weight of 600. Also, within our drop wrapper, we have H4. Let's go ahead and select the H4 and give it a font size of 16 pixel and also a font weight of 500. Now let's select the paragraph within our drop wrapper and give it a font size of 14 pixel and also a font weight of 400. Since the previous code has font size of 14 pixel, we can actually do it this way in order not to write too much code. So let's select the BTN and let's display it to block and give it a margin top and bottom of 0.7 rem and margin left and right of 0 and also test align it to center. Let's go ahead and select the drop image and we're going to start by giving it a border radius of 1.5 rem and also a workflow of feeding and a height of 100 pixels. Now let's select the buttons wrapper. All right, but before then, let's take a look at this. This is supposed to drop. So what could be the problem? This is supposed to start dropping right now. So let's take a look at our code. Let's go through our code and find what the problem is. All right. All right. I think everything is cool. Everything is cool. So what is the problem? Okay, let's remove this overflow hidden in our nav bar and look at it right now. Whenever I place my cursor over services, this comes up and that is cool. That is awesome. All right. So as you can see, it's looking great. It's looking awesome. Now, I think we also need to style this nav length. This nav link, we need to style it. Okay, I think the only style right here is when the nav item is hovered on, but that shouldn't be the case. Let's write a particular style for the nav link. So align the item to center. We'll give it a gap of 0.83 rem, and that is cool. Awesome. As you can see, it looks better right now. Now let's go ahead and select our buttons wrapper. And what we're going to do, we're going to just give it, it's already flexed. So give it a gap of 1 rem. And let's select, let's write some responsive code right here. You know, let's make it responsive. So we'll select, we're going to say at maximum width of 1000 pixel. We're going to give it hide the sign in button here. So if the screen is less than 1000 pixels, we're going to hide the sign in button. Also, at max width of 960 pixels, we are going to select, uh, take a look, we're going to select the navigation and we're going to convert it to be a sidebar. All right, so we're going to position it to fix so that it will not scroll. We give it a length of 0 for now, but we're going to change this value later. So width of 100%, but max width should be 320 pixels. Also height of 100%. And also let's give it a minimum height of 100 VH so that it will occupy the height of the screen, the browser screen. And a background of color digit secondary. Also, let's align the items to stretch and justify the content to flex start and give it a flex direction of colon, right? And let's give it a padding of two rim, top and bottom, and left and right one rim, and give it a transition of bar transition. And here is how it looks like currently. Now, what we're going to do here is that we are going to create this state called show sidebar, and we're going to give it a default value of false, right? As you can see, the state is imported, the use state is imported from React. So we give it a default value of false. And right here, we're going to create a new button. So the new button I'm going to create here is going to be the menu button. So let's go and import a menu icon from React icons. So let's say TITH menu. So it's imported and we add it right here. So let's give this some class name. So let's say Flex Center and menu. Now let's give it on click. So on click event, we're going to switch the value of the show sidebar. So if it is true, it will change to false. If it is false, it will change to true. Okay, so let's just monitor it. So let's open our time on our console on the browser. So let's observe it. All right. So look at how it looks like. So as we click, it begins to switch the value between true and false. So let's write this in such a way that we can be able to use some conditional statements to add classes here. So if show sidebar is true, we're going to add this class name show. All right. So now we are going to first of all, let's say this should be minus 500 pixel the left so that it will be hidden. Then if show, if the navigation has a class name of show, then we return it to 0. All right, look at it. That is awesome. That is beautiful, guys. This is awesome, guys. So now the next thing we need to do is let's type the uh, menu. So let's select the menu here on a large screen. That is on a desktop screen. We don't want it to show. Let's just write some code for it, but then we're going to display it to none because we don't want it to show. But here at this stage, when the width of the screen is less than, it's from 960 pixel downward, we're going to show the menu icon so that the user can click on it to show the sidebar and close the sidebar. Also, let's select the nav item and let's make sure that the justify content is flash start and let's select the nav drop and let's make sure that the display is none. All right. And also let's select the chevron icon display to none. All right. And the next thing we need to do is let's go ahead and take a look at this very well. We can actually do it this way because they are using the same code. The CSS code is the same. So look at it. Beautiful. On mobile, this is how it looks like. Now I'm going to wrap this within empty fragments. So we place everything we have written within empty fragments. Here, I'm going to create a sidebar overlay that will show when the user opens the sidebar. So if show sidebar is true, we're going to add this sidebar overlay and also let's add on click event so that when the overlay is being clicked, we can be able to set switch the value of show sidebar. All right, so let's first of all style this. So we're going to make sure that the background is somehow transparent or it's dark. Position it to fixed, left 0, top 0 and give it a z index of 100, which is the same with the z index of now height is 100% and minimum height is 100 VH. Right. We want it to occupy the browser screen height. So VH stands for viewport height, right? So this is it. So let's click on the overlay to see it disappears. And that is awesome, guys. This is cool. This is awesome. Now, the next thing we need to do right now is let's hide the get started button when the screen is somehow too small for to contain it. So let's select it at 390 pixel. We display to none. Awesome. That is cool. Awesome. So this is what we have currently. We will go and create the header section soon. But let's before we do that, let's create the theme toggle. So we're going to be adding the theme toggle right there. So let's go to component folder and create a new folder called theme toggle. And within this theme toggle, let's create a file called theme toggle.jsx. And also, let's create the theme toggle component and create theme toggle.css also. And let's import it here and add it right here. So let's import theme toggle right here. And let's come over here and let's create this theme toggle. So we change this to label because we want whenever a user clicks on it, we should activate this input, this checkbox we are creating right now. So let's now create a storage key here. So you can call the storage key anything you wish, but let's call it 10. All right. And let's create a state called is dark. And also, we're going to assign a value to it. It's going to be a just, we're going to be getting the value from local storage. And we are going to also set the is dark right here. So if it is true, it will gain the value. If it is false, it will gain the value if this input is checked or not. So let's use this user first to determine if the checkbox is checked or not. So if it is true, if it is checked, we're going to do this. We're going to make sure that on the HTML tag, we're going to set a new attribute called data team and we'll assign a value of dark to it. And also let's update the local storage by setting the value of team to true. But S, let's return here first. So let's say X, we are going to copy this. Let's change this to light and change this to false, which means it's light mode. And that is cool. Awesome. As you can see in the browser, changes is already taking some place. Let's monitor the value of this is dark. Okay. So you see when I uncheck is false, when I check it is true. And that is cool. That is beautiful, guys. That is awesome. Okay, and look at the value of the data team attributes as it is changing. So let's come to here. If you see this variable is applied, immediately data team has the value of dark. So right here, let's render some icons. So if it's dark, it's true. We render a particular icon. If it is first, we render another icon. So let's import these two icons from React icon that we're going to be making use of. Okay. So if it is true, we'll render this UI monsters view. S will render MB Sunny. All right. Here. That is cool. So you see, we are seeing the icon right there. So what we're going to do, let's import the CSS for this theme toggle and let's go ahead and select the theme toggle, give it a font size of 20 pixels, cursor of pointer and transition of bar transition. Let's select the input. So we're going to hide this input without using display none. We're just going to make sure that it is hidden, but we're not going to use display none. The reason is because in some browsers it might not work. It will not work. So, but if we can hide it without using display none, that will be fine. So look at it. So the checkbox is still there in the document, but it's not visible. Right? And that is cool. That is awesome. So right here, let's prevent color flashing. As you can see, if when this is on dark mode and we refresh, it will first of all show white color before showing the dark mode. So this is called color flashing. All right. And this code we're writing here in the index.html file is what will prevent this color flashing. So right here, I'm going to say that if it is on light mode, it should have this background color. And if it is on dark mode, it should have this dark background color. But this is not enough. It's still not going to work except we write some JavaScript code that will make it to work. All right. So let's write some JavaScript code here. So I want this function to execute immediately this page loads. Immediately the page is loading, it will execute itself. The function will execute itself. So let's copy this storage key. So please make sure that this storage key, the same value of this storage key will be this. It will be the same with the one we use in the team toggle because that is what we're going to be using to fetch it from the local storage. All right. So as the value is team here in the team toggle is also team. All right. And that is cool. So this function will be used to set the team. So let's go ahead and determine the value it's holding. Awesome. So we are going to match the color. Right? So we're going to create a class storage theme. Store theme, I need to say, then we'll get it from the local storage the get item, then we pass the storage key. And also let's stick on dark mode. It's if stored theme, we are going to uh, pass it from the JSON. We're going to pass the JSON file value, and if not, we'll return the matches. Then we are going to just pass it to setting and then we'll update the local storage. And that is cool. Awesome. So right now you see if I refresh on dark mode, it will refresh with dark mode. If I refresh on light mode, it will refresh with light mode. And that's what we have called prevention of color flashing. All right. Now let's go ahead and create the next section. We are not yet done with the navbar, but first of all, let's create something. Let's create the header, and later on, we'll go back and finish up with the navbar. The reason why we're doing this first is because we need this header to be there before we can then finish what is on the navbar. And that is cool. So let's work on this header. Let's change this to header and give it an ID of header. And right here, let's create this uh, word container. So we're going to be displaying the word map right there. So let's import the word map, the SVG. Look at it here, word.svg. So we import it here and we assign it to src. Now let's create session container. And within this session container, uh, let's just write partner over there. So let's create a grid. Let's call it grid. And within this grid, we are going to create two columns. Let's focus on the first column. So let's create an info. And within the info, let's create heading. And let's say explore the word, your with. Then let's create span. Let's create a span and give it a class name of primary, and let's write Cravings. Now let's after this H1, let's create a paragraph here and give it a class of text method and subheading. And let's write this book, okay, is affordable, reliable, and unforgettable travel experience awaits. Awaits. Okay. Okay. So that's it. That's what we have at the description. And below the info, let's create this airline. Let's import the airline image. We're going to be adding right here. So we import airline image from the SRC. Please, when you are tracing the image, make sure the path is correct. Even the name of the image is correct, the same case. All right. So we add the airplane image. And after that, let's go to the second column. Let's create a bento grid container. And let's create the grid item. Let's say flex. Okay. Then grid item. So within this grid item, create an item. And this is particularly for renting purpose. We're going to put 5 stars within this stars container. So let's import stars from React icon. So let's import F a star and also the half F a red star half stroke. Okay, let's import it right here. Maybe it's from version 6 of okay. So you see there are different version of Font Awesome icon. Okay, so let's add the half one and the fifth one. Awesome. Now let's write in the paragraph. Let's say 1,000. Okay, 1,000 to 10 and reviews. All right, and that is cool. So after that, let's create another item. After the first item, within create container. So let's import city. Let's call it city. Okay, let's say beach image. All right, and we import it from assets and let's add it right here. Awesome. So this is the first grid item. So let's create another grid item after this first one. So let's create an item, 2 items within this. So let's add this image in the first item. Uh, and let's go and import the 2 images we're going to be using. So the first, let's import city. Let's call it city cafe image from asset. We import it from asset. And also, let's import traveler image. Okay, all these images are located within the asset folder. Okay, and like I said before, make sure when creating out this image, you trace it correctly. If not, it won't work. Awesome. So we have added those images to this. Uh, as you can see, it looks really bad. It's very scattered. So let's arrange everything with CSS. Let's add the beauty with CSS. So let's go ahead and select the header and give it overflow hidden. And also let's select the word and position it to absolute. Give it a Z index of 1, left of 0, and top of 0. Also, let's give it a width of fit content and height of 100 VH. And let's give it a web kit filter, block 1 pixel, and also filter here, 1 pixel. So let's select session container, give it some padding, top of 120 pixel, right 1 rem, bottom 50 pixel, and left 1 rem. And let's position it to ability. Let's also give it set index of 2, and let's select the grid and display it grid and give it a grid template column of first column should be auto and second column should be 200 pixels, 500 pixels, I need to say, and gap should be 2 rem and position relative then index 2, and let's give it background image. So the image we're using is within the asset folder and it's called bgtrade.svg. And let's say background repeat, no repeat, and background size 400 pixel width and height 200 pixel. And let's say background position is bottom left, and let's select the columns and give it a position of relative, select the heading, give it a font size of 60 pixel and a line height of 70 pixel. Okay, 60 pixel line height of 70 pixel, and let's give it a font weight. Okay, and also font family. Let's say cursive, comma. If it's not available, use fantasy. If it's not available, use mono space. And let's select the subheading, give it a font size of 18 pixel and margin top of 1 rem. Let's select the airplane and give it a position of absolute and a width of 100%. And also, we're going to add animation to it. Let's create the animation using keyframe. Let's say animate, and at 0% and 100% will transform it and translate the y-axis to -2 pixel. At 50% would translate the y-axis to 2 pixel. All right, awesome. So let's add the animate. This is the name, and 2 seconds is infinite so that it continuously play. All right, and let's select the image and position it to relative. Awesome. Now look at how it looks like currently. Now let's select the second column within our grid, the end child 2, and let's give it background image. So the image is located within our asset folder, and let's give it a background size and also background repeat of no repeat. Now let's select the vector grid and display the grid. And let's give it a grid template column of repeat 2 comma 1 FY and gap of 1.5 frame. Also, let's select the grid item and let's give it a place direction of column and also align items of stretch. Also justify content space between and gap of 1 frame. Now let's go ahead and select the items within the grid item and let's give it let's give this item a height of 400%, a border radius of 1.5 frame, and a flow of heating. Now let's select all the what is it called? All the items within the first grid item, and give it a height of auto. And also, let's select the ratings and give it align items of center and a gap of 1 ring, and also a padding of 1 ring. Now let's select the stars container and give it a color, uh, let's say color warning will be fine so that it will be yellow in color. All right. So let's say color warning. Awesome. Now let's take a look at this. So this is how it currently looks like. And let's make it somehow responsive. So at uh, max width of let's say 1,400 pixel, we are going to make sure that the height of the session container is 100 VH. Okay, awesome, awesome, 100 VH. Now, let's say at max width again, max width of 960 pixel, we're going to select the heading and give it a font. Let's reduce the font size to 45 pixel and the line height to 55 pixel. Max width of again, max width of 900 pixel. Let's copy this and edit 900 pixel. And we're going to select the grid and make sure that the grid template column is 100%. So that it will only have one column. And let's select the column itself and test align to center and max width should be 500 pixel and also the margin should be up to so that it will be at the center horizontally. Let's select the airplane and position it to static. Now, at max width of 500 pixel, we're going to select the renting and give it a flex direction of colon. And as you can see, it looks awesome, guys. It looks cool, beautiful. This is cool, guys, and everything looks awesome. So, uh, we having issues right now. So here, let's move this to inside our session container. So there's the partner. So let's go to components folder and let's create a partners folder. And within it, we create partners.js and let's create the partner component and also create partners.css and import it into our partners component. Now let's change this to component and import the partners into our header. Awesome. Now let's give this an idea of partners and right here, let's go ahead and import our partners. Look at it here in our data.js file. So let's import the partners into our partners component and let's map to it. So we look to it, a partner and then the key. So let's return this image. Awesome. So I put the image right here and that is cool. Awesome. That is beautiful. So later on, we're going to duplicate these slides. We're going to duplicate it so that the scroll will not end when the available one finishes. Select partners and we'll give it overflow, hidden, padding, top and bottom 60 pixel, left and right 0 pixel, white space, no wrap, and position relative. Now let's select, let's add the before and after pseudo class to partners and position it to absolute and leave the top of 0, width of 150 pixel, height of 100% and content empty content because without that content nothing this won't work. So give it set index of 2. Now let's style it before and let's give it this background color which is linear gradient and we start with transparent and color BG primary as the second color. Now let's select the after. Let's duplicate this. Uh, we can, as you can see, the effect of that. So let's duplicate this to and change this to after and change this to right. Let's say right and also this right. Awesome. So as you can see on the browser, the effect of these two guys, these two things right here. Now let's select the slides. Okay, and let's go ahead and create this animation called slides. So we, this slides animation will be used to slide these partners. All right, so we add a slide and we add our time and also infinite linear so that it will continue playing continuously. And let's on hover of partners will pause the animation from playing. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and select the image within the slides. Display the inline block height 30 pixel and also width of auto, margin top and bottom 0 and margin left and right should be 40 pixel. Object fee should be contained and filter, let's give it a grayscale of 100%. That is the standard. Also, let's add for WebKit. Uh, okay, so we take grayscale of 100%. And also, let's say filter gray, which will be for Internet Explorer version 6 to 9. And also, let's say WebKit filter. Let's say grayscale and assign a value of 1, which is for old WebKit. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, so what we need to do, we will go back and duplicate the slides in our partners.js so that when this finish scrolling, it will continue scrolling, it will not finish scrolling. All right. So, but if there's any error we have here, we're going to make sure we're going to make sure that we solve the error before this video ends. So, if you encounter any error, just continue watching and we sort that out before the video ends. Okay, so right now, let's go back to the nav bar. So I want to show the nav bar when after the user starts scrolling. I want to bring back the nav bar, drop it back so that it will be shown as the user is scrolling. So that's why I'm creating this state. And let's create this function called table nav bar. And if windows.scroll y is greater than 100, the state show uh, navbar, section navbar the true else is stated to false. Now let's use it first. It's imported from React, and let's go ahead and add event listener to the window. So we add this toggle. Also, let's remove the event listener by saying Windows will remove event listener, and that is awesome. So now let's console log the show navbar and look at it, take a look at it on the console. So you see when we scroll, you see it turns to true, it turns to false, and which means it's working perfectly fine. So come over to here. Um, we are going to copy this. Then let's write this in form of in such a way that it will allow us like JavaScript right here. So if this is true, we add block class and also drop class to this. And then we go to our navbar.css file. And right here, let's write some logic that will make the navbar drop. So we're going to say navbar.drop, position it to fixed, and also we give it a background and we give it animation. So let's create the animation. Let's call the animation drop. And at 0%, it will be top minus 100%. At 100%, it will be top 0 pixel. And let's add it here, drop, and give it 1 second uh, time. So look at it. That is awesome. That is beautiful. And as you can see, it's working perfectly fine. And that is cool, guys. That is cool. So let's take a closer look at this before we go ahead and create the next session. So this is supposed to be, uh, let's say, okay, let's just leave it at 100 as it is. And let's go to the next section. Let's start creating the next section. Let's close this console and take a look at it. So let's proceed and go to session folder and let's create a new folder called services. And let's create services.js within this services folder. And let's create the services component. Also, let's create services.css and import it into our services component. And let's head to app and import services component and add it right after header. Also, let's change this services div to section and give it an ID of services. Now let's create an overlay here and create a session container within the overlay. And right within the session container, we're going to be outputting the services data we have within the data.js. Look at it here. It has title, icon, and description. So let's import the services data into our services component and let's look through it here using map. So let's return this div. So we're going to say dev. We're going to give it a class of service. And within this dev, let's go ahead and put the icon within this box. All right. So after the icon, let's output the title within H3. So we say services dot title. Service, I mean to say. And also let's output the description. Let's say service dot description. right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. The height of our header is too much. So let's go back to the header.css. And as you can see, there's a mistake here. This is supposed to be 100 VH, 100 viewport height. But I wrote 1000 instead. So change it to 100 if you made that same mistake. And as you can see, it looks cool. So let's write the CSS code for our services. So let's select the services ID and give it a background color of color BG secondary, right? And also let's give it a background image. Let's trace the part of the image which is in our asset folder and also give it overflow of hidden. Now let's select the overlay and let's give it a background. The background has to be somehow transparent. So let's say color BG secondary RGB and let's give it an opacity of 0.8. And let's select the session container and we are going to display to grid and we want it to have 4 columns. So say grid template columns, repeat 4 comma 1 F1 and gap of 1.5 line. Let's select the icon. So give it a font size of 30 pixel and color of color primary and transition. We're going to give it the transition variable. So var transition. And let's give it a weight of 2 rem. And let's go ahead and select the services. And on hover, we're going to say icon would transform it by scaling it to 1.1. And let's select the title. We're going to give it a font size, font weight. Let's give it a font weight of 700 pixel. Sorry, the mistake. Font weight 700 and font size of 18 pixel. Also, let's give it a font family of monospace. And margin top and bottom 10 pixel, margin left and right 0. And let's select the text muted, which is the description. We're going to give it a font size of 14 pixel. Now let's write some responsive code. So at max width of 700 pixel, which is any width that's less than 700 pixel, we're going to change the column of our session container to 2 columns, which is repeat 2 comma 1 f1. Look at it. And let me just write responsiveness right here. And let's also write another media query. So at max width of 330 pixel, we are going to change the session container column to just 1 column, which is 100%. And let's select the service and align all the text to the center. So text align center. And let's select the icon and give it a margin of auto so that it will be at the center horizontally. And this is cool. Look at it. This is beautiful. Awesome. So let's go ahead and close all those files and create the next section. Let's head to the session folder and create a new folder called popular destinations. And within this folder, let's create popular destinations.jsx and also popular destinations.css. Now let's go back to popular destination.jsx and create the popular destination component and also import popular destination.css. Now let's go to the app and import popular destination component and let's add it right after services. Okay, so let's change this popular destination component div to section and give it an ID of destinations. And within, let's create session container. And within it, let's create session header. And within session header, let's create H2 and let's say where will. And also create H1 and say you go next with a question mark. And also let's create a paragraph with the class name of description and let's write the description. This covers some of the most sought after destinations around the world. Full stop. Now, after the paragraph, after the session header, we are going to be using a package called swiper.js. So go to swiperjs.com and go to React here. So let's see the command to install swiper. So let's paste the command and click enter. And boom, it has been installed successfully. So we're going to import swiper from swiper underscore react. But let's import the CSS first. So import swiper CSS and we import swiper and also swiper slide. Now let's go ahead and add swiper right here. And within the swiper, we're going to be looping through our destinations, the popular destinations data we have within the data dot JSX. Look at it here. So let's import popular destinations data from data, right? And let's look through it here using map. So destination key, and let's return swiper slide, and let's give it a key, and we'll pass the key, which is the index, so that React will be able to differentiate each of the data being returned in this loop. All right, we give it a class of block and also a class of destination, and we have put the image. So after we have put the image, let's go ahead and put what I call the renting. Right. So let's put the renting within H2, and also let's go ahead and import this icons, the star icon, right? We have put that right within this star. Okay. And let's also go ahead and put the preview box. Right? And we have put the country also. Let's put the title. Okay, within a paragraph, let's say destination, the title, and after that, let's output the details box. So let's within the detail box, let's say detail item. We're going to be having about three details items. So let's create the first one and duplicate and make changes. So we create the icon container and we output this icon. Let's import the icon from React icon, LU hotel, and let's create this div. And within this div, we're going to output the hotel number. And after the hotel number, let's output the name hotel within uh, this paragraph. So I'm going to copy paste. Okay, so let's edit the second one. Let's import the icon we're going to be using in the second one. So this is the icon. So replace this with this, and let's output the flight number here. So let's say flight right here. Now let's squeeze this one also. Let's copy it and squeeze it. Okay, let's paste again, and let's change import the icon we're going to be using in the third one, and that is the icon. So let's change this icon to this, and let's change this to the price. All right, and let's say price, premium. All right, premium service. Awesome. So these are the three details item of app. Now let's go ahead and write. Let's output the this button right here in the button container. So let's create a button container and let's output a button with the name or destination. So this is the button we are outputting, and we can now take a look at how it looks currently. It doesn't look good at all, but immediately we add CSS, it will look good. So let's add some configuration to this swiper component. So slides per view, let's say one. All right, slides per view, let's say one. Uh, Space between should be like 20, and let's say graph cursor 2, and let's give it some breakpoints. So at 600, the slice per view should be 2, right? So at minimum width of 600, it will be 2. Also at minimum width of 900, it will be 4, all right? And that will make it responsive. Let's give it also a class name of destinations, and we are going to create something right here. It's going to be called the slide button. All right. So this is the previous button. Let's create a previous button here. But then let's import this icon chevron. Chevron. Let's import it here. Let's say chevron left and chevron right. So let's import chevron left, also chevron right. Okay, so since we have imported from React icon slash FA, let's just copy it and paste it at the top there. So that is cool. So let's copy this first one
and use it as the previous icon. All right. Let's duplicate this and let's change this into next and let's change this icon to right. Right. So next, let's go and create a use ref. Let's create a ref called um, let's call it a slider ref. All right. And let's import the use ref from React. Okay. So we're going to add this ref to our swiper. So let's say ref here and let's add this slider ref. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and create two function here. So first one handle previous, and we're going to use this use callback hook to create this function to avoid errors. All right. So let's say slider ref. Yeah, if slider ref dot current, if it doesn't have value, we're going to return. All right. So let's add not here. If it has value, then we'll proceed to say slider ref dot current dot swiper dot slide next. All right. Or slide previous. I need to say so. Let's copy and paste. Okay, this will be the next. So let's say slide next. Awesome. So we're going to handle use on click here on the previous button and we'll say handle previous. On the next button, we'll say handle next. Awesome. So, and these buttons will be able to do the job. So, look at it. So, look at the button right here. We'll use CSS to place it in the right place. All right. So, let's go ahead and write some CSS code for this. So, let's select the the destinations ID. Let's give it a background of color dark, and let's give it a color white, and a background image. Uh, if the background image did not load, then the color dark will be there. Right? So let's also give it a background size of 50 pixel and overflow of hidden. And let's select the section header, the paragraph within it, and give it opacity of 0.18, I need to say. And let's select the destinations and margin top of 3 rem and height of 100%. Let's select a slide button. Let's give it a width of 3 rem and a height of 3 rem. Now to prevent it from shrinking, we'll give it minimum and maximum width and height of the same value. Let's give it a top of 50%, Z index of 10, and let's give it a transition or a transform of translate minus 50 and position it of absolute and uh, give it a background font size of 1.5 frame, a console pointer transition. Let's give it a value of transition and let's add a hover effect to it. So background color BG secondary and hover, then color text. All right. Let's select the previous button alone and let's give it a length of 0. All right. And also let's after this, let's select the next button alone and give it a right of 0. And let's take a look at it, see how it looks like currently. Let's select the destination and let's give it a height of auto and give it a border radius of 1.5 rem and overflow of hidden and also a position of relative and z index of 1 and cursor pointer. Let's select, let's add an after pseudo class to it and let's give it the content empty value, position the content to absolute, give it a bottom of 0 and left of 0, I need to say width of 100%, height of 60, z index of 2, and background. Let's give it this background. Awesome. So let's use this RGBA color. All right. So it's a dark color, and that is the shadow you're seeing on the bottom. Now let's select the renting, okay, and let's give it a position of absolute and a top of 20 pixel, right of 10 pixel, Z index of 3,
And the background, let's give it some kind of transparent background using color RGB, BG secondary RGB, and then opacity of 0.8, a padding of 1.5. Top and bottom is 0, left and right is 1.5. Okay, a color text. Also, let's select the preview box. Okay, so take a look at it. Let's select the preview box and give it a position of absolute. Okay, preview box, position absolute, bottom 20 pixel, padding should be 1 rem, and Z index should be 3, and text align should be center, and also the color should be color white. And let's give it a transition of var, a transition variable. Let's go ahead on hover of destination. We are going to say that the preview box, we're going to minus 100% so that it will be hidden, right? So, uh, but let's select the country first and give it the font size of 30 pixels. So let's create a hover effect, right? So let's add hover here and let's say bottom minus 100%. And look at it. That is beautiful. Now, let's go ahead and select the title and let's give it a opacity of 0.8 and font size of 16 pixel. Let's select the details box right now and give it a position of absolute and width of 90% and left of 50 pixel, also top of 50 pixel. And let's transform it by translating the x and y axis minus 50/50 and also scale it to 0. Now let's give it a color of color text and a transition. We'll give it a transition variable. Now on hover of destination card, we are going to say that the details box should transform. We're going to transform it. So we'll translate by minusing 50 pixel, 50 pixel. This is so that it will be at the center and we'll scale it to 1. Awesome. And let's take a look at it. Uh, you see? You see it? So now let's type the contents within the details box. Which is the detail item. So let's select the detail item and give it a background, some kind of transparent background by using color BG secondary RGB and give it opacity of 0.8, gap of 10 pixel, and also padding top and bottom 0.5 rem, left and right 1 rem. And let's go and give it a margin of 10 pixel top and bottom, left and right 0 pixel, and border radius of 1.5 rem. And let's select the icon within and give it a font size of 20 pixel and give it a color of color primary. Now let's select the bottom container. Okay, we're going to give it a margin top of 40 pixel. Awesome. So look at it. This is awesome. Let's expand this, and as you can see on the large screen, it is 4, and that is beautiful. Awesome. So look at it. We can now go to the next session. Let's go ahead and close this files and go ahead and create the next session. First, let's go to the index.css file and let's make this correction. So you see this btn primary hover, look at it here. This rem is not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be just 0.7, the opacity, and that is cool. Now let's go ahead and create the next component, which is about. Let's create about folder and let's create within the about folder about.js and let's create the about component. And also let's create about.css file and import it into our about component. Let's change div to section and let's give it an ID of about. Now within this, let's create session container, and within the session container, let's create two div. All right, we're going to create two div here. And let's focus on the first one. Let's give it a class name of Bento Grade. And within it, let's create a grid item, two of them. Let's focus on the first grid item and let's create one item within it. So within this item, we're going to be using an image. So let's import this image. Let's call it traveler mall image. So we import this image from the asset folder, traveler mail.png, and let's write add it right here. Awesome. Now, in the second grid item, let's create two div with a class name of item. So each of them will have image within them. So let's import the images. So the first image we're going to import is hotel image from our asset folder. All right. Let's import cruise ship image from also our asset folder. So make sure the choice is correct. All this image within is within the asset folder. So let's add this one, and also let's add the hotel image. Awesome. Now let's go to the second div within our session container, and let's create this h uh, three with the class name of primary. Let's say about us, and also h2 who we are, and let's create p.test method. So this is the description. So let's just write this description. The description is quite long. You can just look for some text and copy it and paste it right here. All right, so this is the description. So next, let's create the achievements. And within this achievement, we're going to have three achievement container, right? So this is the first one. We create this first one and duplicate it and edit it. So let's create an icon container. So let's say flex center so that the icon will be centered within this container. So let's output this icon. Let's import the icon from React icon first. So let's call it GI work, and let's copy it and let's add it within this container. Awesome. Let's create a paragraph and give it a class name of text method. Let's write destinations here. And at the top of this paragraph, let's create a flex container. Let's say the flex center. And within this, we're going to create H1, just write plus within and give it a title class. Now we're going to be using a package called React JS. So just go search for it on Google, and this is the link to the npm package. All right. So this is it here. This is what we're going to be using. So we're going to go ahead and install it into this project. All right. So let's clear the terminal first. Clear. And let's copy this again, once again. And let's paste it right here and click enter to install it. And take a look at it. Boom, it has been installed successfully. So let's import odometer from React odometer.js. Also, let's copy this and let's add it right here. So we're going to be passing value and class name to this. So the class name is title, and let's create const here. Let's call this destination. This is a state we're creating. So let's say set destinations equal to use state. As we can see, use state is imported from React, and let's add the destination here. So the initial value is 0, but later on we're going to be changing the value so that the number will transitions, right? So we're going to copy this and paste it, and let's make changes. First of all, let's change the icon. Let's import the icon we're going to use from React.js. So the icon is TB user group, and let's copy the icon and paste. And let's create a state here called customers, and say set customers, and let's give it the initial value of 0. And let's write the customers here and the value, and let's change this from destination to happy uh, clients, right? Awesome. Let's also copy this again. Let's squeeze this one and let's paste it here, and let's make changes. First of all, let's import the icon for the third one, and the icon, let's import RI hotel to be okay, to be booking. Okay, so we are going to say booking here, and uh, so the bookings, and let's give it initial value of 0, and let's change the customer to bookings, and let's change this to bookings, and next let's copy and paste again, and let's squeeze this one. So let's change this icon to let's import the icon RI hotel line, and let's copy it and let's paste it here. And let's create hotel, state, hotels, state hotels, and give it initial value of 0. Let's change these bookings to hotels, and let's change this text here to luxury hotels. Awesome. And that is it. So we can now go ahead and start this. Okay, so let's take a look at it. But before then, let's go to app and import about, and let's add it right here after popular destination. So let's go ahead and write some CSS code so that this will look cool. As you can see, it is scattered. And look at this odometer. We need to import the CSS for our odometer. So let's import it before we imported the about CSS so that the code will write within the about CSS will override the one we have in our odometer. So this is the odometer package in our npm, and these are the CSS we can use the CSS template. So we just copy the address and let's remove these node models. We just start from odometer slash themes slash the name of the CSS uh, file we want to make use of. So let's close this. Awesome. Now let's write some CSS. So select the about ID, give it a background of color BG secondary and a background image. So the background image is within the asset folder. Let's search for it. It is called bg-1.svg. The background size, width of 500 pixel, height of 400 pixel, and a background repeat of no repeat. And let's give it a background position, let's say bottom right, and overflow of hidden. Now let's select the session container and let's display it to grid. And let's give it two columns by saying grid template column repeat. Then we'll give it a value of 2, comma 1 and gap of 2 rem. Also, the image within should be the object tree should be contained. And let's select the bento grid and display it to grid and give it a grid template column of 2 columns by doing this. And also let's give it a gap of 1 rem on the background image. Let's create the background image and let's also say that the background repeat should be no repeat. Now let's select the items within the grid item. So let's say the minimum height of this item should be 200 pixels and the border radius should be 1.5 rem and the overflow should be hidden. Also, let's select the first items within every grid item. So let's give it a margin bottom 1 rem. Now let's select the achievements and let's display the achievements to grid. Right? So let's say grid, and let's give it a grid template column of repeat 2, comma 1 and gap of 1 rem, margin top and bottom 2 rem, margin left and right 0. And let's select the achievement itself, give it a line of center, padding top and bottom 1 rem, left and right 10 pixel, border radius of 1.5 rem, and transition, we give it a transition blurring. Now on hover, all right, on hover of the achievement, we are going to give it some effect by changing the background color. But first of all, let's tie the icon, right? The achievement icon. So let's give it a font size of 30 pixel, color of color primary. Awesome. So on hover of the achievement, let's change the background color to this. Color primary RGB and zero point 0.1 opacity. Awesome. Let's select the title and give it a font size of 60 pixel and a font weight of 700. Now let's write some responsiveness code. So let's write responsiveness at max weight of 1000 pixel. We are going to select the title and reduce the font size to 40. Uh, let's say we are going to reduce the font size to 45 pixel. I think okay. Making a mistake here. Okay, this one actually has to be within the mouse with 900. And here, let's select the title. Awesome. So we'll select the title, reduce the font size to 45 pixels. And here, let's select the bento grid and give it a max weight of 500 pixels and margin auto. And let's say at max width of 450 pixels, let's also select the title and still reduce the font size again to 30 pixels. Awesome. So look at it. This is cool. Awesome. Okay. Now this is how it looks like. Now the next work we need to do here is to switch the values of these odometers when a user scroll to this section, right? So we're going to achieve that. Uh, First of all, let's say achievement ref. Let's get the ref. So let's add a ref to the achievement. That is the container for all the achievement. And we are going to say, let's say use effect here. Use effect is already imported at the top from React. And we're going to use the Observer API. We want to use Observer API to be able to dictate when a user scroll to the achievement section so that we can now change the values of the destination, customers, bookings, hotels, and all of that. So let's say const observer equal to new intersection observer. And also we're going to get the entries. Then we are going to loop through the entries. So let's say uh, for first of all, let's add the observer here by passing the ref, all right, ref.current. Awesome. So here we have the entries. So we look through the entries, we get each of the entry, and let's do some experiment here. Let's console log entry dot is intercepting, all right. So let's just say visible, and let's say entry dot is intercepting intercepting, right? So you see that when I scroll to that section, as you can see, the value of visible is false, but when I scroll to the section of the achievement, it will become true. And that is awesome. So we can use this to determine if the user has scrolled to that section. So if the user has scrolled to the section, we will set the values of all this, but we need to specify a timeout. So within this timeout, we set the value of destination to 60, set customers to 809, bookings is 8,500, and set hotels to 500. And that is cool. Awesome. So look at it. Beautiful. So let's refresh and let's try to scroll to the section. You see, immediately I scroll to the section, it began to transition the numbers to the numbers that it's supposed to have. So let's go and create the next section. So we're going to create Y choosers section here. So we'll create also within the Y choosers folder, we'll create Y choosers.js and Y choosers.css. Let's create the component Y choosers and import Y choosers.css into it. Let's go to the app and import Y choosers and let's add it right after about. And let's come here and change this to section and give it an ID of Y choose us. Awesome. So right here, we are going to make use of this data of Y choosers. It has title, icon, and description. So let's import Y choosers from data, the data file. So this is it. Awesome. So we're going to loop through Y choosers, but let's first of all do that within overlay and also within session container. So let's say Y choosers.map. So we're going to return this component. So let's say Y, give it a class name of Y choosers. Let's say flex first and say Y choosers, and let's give it a key. All right. Now within here, let's create the icon container and let's put the icon. Awesome. And also let's create this div. Here we put the title, list the title, and also let's put the description, right? Awesome. So let's delete the description here. Beautiful. And this is cool. So look at it here. Let's write some CSS code for the Y chooser. So we're going to select the Y choosers ID and let's add the code. Awesome. So we're going to say overflow hidden. Let's select the overlay and give it some background, transparent background using color BG primary RGB. Uh, color BG primary RGB, and let's give it 0.8 opacity. Let's also select the session container and let's display the grid and give it 4 column by saying grid template column repeat 4, comma 1 F1 and gap of 1.5 frame. And let's select the white choosers card, align the items to flex start and give it a gap of 0.5 frame. And let's select the icon and we're going to give this icon. But so first of all, let's add a hover effect here to the icon. So give it a color of red, and let's select the title, give it a font size of 17 pixel, a font weight of 500, and that is cool. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and select the icon itself, give it a font size of 30 pixel and transition of bar transition. And the description, let's select the description, but let's just move this icon selection to the top. I think that will make sense. So let's move it here. Awesome. Now let's select the description. Let's select the description and let's give it a font size of 15 pixel, font weight of 400. And next, let's write some responsive code. So a max width of 850 pixels. We're going to select the session container and give it a grid template column repeat to 1F1. So it's having two column right now. And also uh, let's also come down here and let's add gap here 0.5 rem. So let's add the at max width of 500 pixel. Let's also say that it's we session container should have one column by giving it 100% to the grid template columns, and that is this is it. Awesome. This is beautiful, guys. So let's close this files and go ahead and create the next section. Let's create the testimonial section. So create folder called testimonials, and within this testimonials folder, we'll create testimonials.js and create the testimonials components. Also, let's create testimonials.css and let's import it into our testimonials component. And let's go to app and import testimonials component and add it after y choosers. All right, so let's change this testimonial dev to section and let's give it an ID of testimonials. Now within this, let's create section header and let's create H2 and write what hour and H1, let's say customer say. Now we're going to create a div here and within this div, we're going to use the swiper that we imported before. So we import swiper and swiper slide. So we import the CSS right here, and let's say swiper right here. Within the swiper, we are going to output the testimonials data. Look at it here. It has name, position, company profile, and some other data. So we import it into our testimonials, and we say testimonials.map key will return this. So we're going to just swipe a slide and let's give it a key. Then we'll pass the key, which is in the actual sense, it is the index. Let's give it a class name of testimonial. And within it, let's create uh, this in a user container and we'll put the user image. Next, uh, let's put this within a profile content, a profile. All right. And let's create these details and let's put the name. Let's create a row and within this row, let's put the position within the paragraph. So let's change this to position and let's select this position. Also, let's put the company within the paragraph. Right? So list dot company. So let's come down here after the user. let's upload the content. So let's say list.content in a paragraph. And after the paragraph, let's upload the stars. So let's create a stars container and let's import the stars icon from React. So we're going to upload 5 stars here. So get them into 5. Now it's cool. Now we can now go ahead and write some CSS code. But before then, let's add some setup for this framework. So we're going to say that the slide value is 1. Space between is 30 and autoplay should be true. Also, let's loop it so that when it's finished playing, it's continue from start. Keep on playing. Speed is 5,000. Center slide should be true. And models, we're going to use the autoplay models. So let's import autoplay models from swiper underscore models. All right. So let's add a breakpoint and slide point view at 600 should be auto. And this is how it currently looks like. We can now proceed to write uh, CSS code, but let's give this a class name of testimonials and let's proceed. Okay, so we enter the CSS, we select the testimonials ID, give it overflow of hidden and a position of relative, also a padding, top and bottom 50 pixel, left and right 0. Now let's add before and after to the pseudo class to our testimonials. So let's say before, then after, we say content empty, then position it to absolute width of 25% and height of 100%, top of 0 and z index of 2. Now let's select it before and let's select 0, then let's add this background to it. So to left, transparent, then let's add color BG secondary here. Awesome. Well, now we can select this and duplicate and let's change this before to after and let's change the left to right and let's change to right here in the linear gradient. Awesome. Now let's select the testimonials and let's give it a margin top of 50 pixel, padding 20 pixel top and bottom, left and right 0, position static, height of 100%. And also let's go ahead and add a pseudo class to the testimonials and give it the content empty position of absolute bottom 0, left 0, and that index of 3, and also give it a weight and height of 100%. And let's give it a background of linear gradients to bottom. Transparent, the first color will be transparent. Then let's give it a BG, color BG secondary. Let's duplicate this to 3. Awesome. Now let's select the testimonial. Let's give it a height of auto and a max width of 60% and background of color BG secondary and also a pattern of 40 pixel and border radius of 1.5 frame and position of relative. And let's select the flex within it. So testimonials flex align the item to center and gap of 10 pixel. And let's select the users and give it a margin button of 30 pixel. Select the name and also give it font size of 16 pixel and port weight of 500. Select the content and let's give it a font size of 16 pixel and margin button of 20 pixel. Select the stars container and let's give it a justified content of flex start and position of absolute and also give it the bottom of 40 pixel and left of 40 pixel. Let's go ahead and write the responsive code. Look at how it looks right now on the on large screen, but when it comes to uh, the smaller screen, look at how it looks like. It doesn't look good. So let's add some responsive code here. So a max width of 767 pixel, we are going to select the testimonial and then use the padding to 20 pixel. And also we're going to select the start container and give it a bottom of 20 pixel and left of 20 pixel. And at max width of 600 pixel, we're going to select the pseudo class of testimonials and let's give it a weight of 2 right. Let's also select the testimonials and give it a padding top and bottom of 50 pixel left and right of 20 pixel. Now let's select the testimonial itself and give it a max weight of 100%. And let's select the rule and give it a place direction of column and align the items to stretch and give it a gap 0 pixel and text align left. Let's take a look at this. This looks cool. This is awesome. This is beautiful, guys. Now let's close those two files. Let's go to the next section. So we're going to be creating the contact section. So we create contact folder in our sections. And within the contact folder, we create contact.js and contact.css. Now let's import the contact.css into our contact.js component. Let's change the div. But before then, let's import contact into app and add it actual testimonials. So let's change this div to section and give it an ID contact. Now, within this, let's create session container, and we're going to add the FAQ there. But let's go ahead and create FAQ folder within component, and let's create FAQ file within the FAQ folder, and also FAQ.css. So let's create the FAQ component and import FAQ.css. Now let's come back to our contact and import FAQ components, and let's convert this to a component. So let's go ahead and work on the FAQ. When we're done, we continue with the contact. So let's change this to section and give it an ID FAQ. And let's create H1 here and let's write frequently asked questions. Let's create ask questions within the span. After the H1, let's create paragraph. And within this paragraph, we're going to output your questions, answer. Now, after this, let's create a div and let's give it a class name of FAQ list. And within this, we're going to output the FAQ data here. Look at them. It has title and description. So let's import the FAQ from data. All right. So let's trace it very well. And right here, we're going to say FAQ.map and let's let's list and then in the key. So we pass the key here. Let's give this a class name of FAQ. Right. And right here, let's create the question, right? And let's put the title right here. And also, let's add this icon. Let's import the icon first, FAQ rundown. So we're going to add it right here. And let's give it a class name of icon. All right. But before then, let's create the state called active index, state active index. And let's say use state, as you can see, use state is imported from React. We give it a value of 0 by default. So let's say we're going to use this so that we'll be able to write this condition. So give it a class of icon. Then if active index, if it is equal to the key, right, we're going to add a class name called rotate to this. Awesome. Now also let's change this. Say that if the active index is equal to the key here, we're going to add a class called active. All right. So X will add nothing, right? Awesome. Now, right here, let's create the answer block and let's say answer wrapper here. And within it, let's put this paragraph in description. Also, now let's add on click to this. So on click, we are going to change the value of the active index, but let's uh, create the function here. So it will pass the index here. So if the index, the active index is not equal to the index, then we return state active index. We just return minus, we'll return the index. But if If it is equal, then we'll return minus, just set it to -1. And we can now execute this here, pass the key. Awesome. Now we can go ahead and write some style so that it will look good. So let's select the FAQ list, all right? But first of all, we're going to go into it using the FAQ ID so that uh, it will not just select all FAQ lists in the program if there is any other, all right? Awesome. Now let's select the question and let's give it a background. So let's give it a background for just make it transparent. Color BG secondary RGB 0.5 frame. And let's give it a padding top and bottom 1.5 frame, left and right 1.3 rem. Align the items to flex that and justify the content to space between a gap of 1 rem cursor pointer. And also let's give it some transition. All 0.3 second is in color should be collimated and border really should be 1.5 and font weight should be 500 600 and font size should be 16 pixels. Now I'm going to select the question when the FAQ is active. Okay, we're going to select the questions when the FAQ is active and also when the question is hovered. So let's say FAQ, then question on hover. Then we're going to change the background to color primary, change the color of the text to color white. And also, when the uh, FAQ is active and the question is also hovered, we're going to give it an opacity of 1. Uh, but if the question is, if the FAQ is not active, but it is the question is being hovered, we're going to give it opacity of 0.7. And look at the difference. You see, awesome. So that is cool. Now let's go ahead and select the icon. So give it a font size of 20 pixels and also a transition. Okay, 0.8 seconds is in out. And let's add the rotate. Uh, the style for the rotate when the icon also has a class name of rotate, we transform it by rotating it to -180 degree. See it? Awesome. Now let's select when the FAQ is active, we'll select the answer. And first of all, let's type this answer first. Answer height should be 0 pixel, width should be 1 pixel, and overflow should be hidden. And when the FAQ is now active, we'll select the answer and give it a max height of like 300 pixels. So max height 300 pixels. And uh, let's select, also give it this overflow while auto, but let's select the answer wrapper, right? So let's say answer wrapper, and let's give it a background color of color UI, color BG primary, I'm going to say, and padding, okay, and awesome. So let's also give select the paragraph font size. Okay, awesome. So this is how it currently looks, and this is beautiful. This is awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with this contact. So here, after the FAQ, in this column, create a form called contact form. Give it a class name of contact form and history within it. Let's say still got questions. Also, let's create H2 and write reach out to us there. So, and let's create a row. So within this row, we're going to create two inputs. The first input is for the first name. The second input will be for the last name. So let's give it a name, first name, and give it a class name of control. Let's just duplicate this and make changes. Okay. And let's change this to last name. Last name. Awesome. Now We are going to create another role again. Create two input also within. First one will be for the email. Second one will be for the phone number. Awesome. So give it a name of email, control with a class name. Let's duplicate and change this to top, change this to phone number, and change this to phone. And awesome. So after this row, let's create text area. This will be the message. Let's just delete this and let's give it a placeholder of message and class name of control. It's beautiful. Next, let's create the send button. Right. So let's just send now. And let's give it a class name of BTN primary, and also let's add a class name called submit BTN. So after the form, let's create the contact options. So contact options, here we're going to look through the contact options data from the data.js file. So let's come over here, see the contact options. It has name, icon, and value. So let's import it right here, contact options, and let's look through it here. And let's say contact, then the key. Let's return a div with a class name, option, flex, and option. And let's give it the key. And let's go ahead and say let's create the icon container. I'm going to put the icon here. And also let's create a details container. So in history, we'll put the name, contact.name, and also in paragraph, we'll put the contact.value. Awesome. Now we can now go ahead and write style for this so that it will look cool. So let's select the contact and give it overflow hidden. And let's select the session container and give it a display of grid. And sorry, and also give it a grid template column repeat 2, comma 1 FR and align the item to let's start gap of 2 rem. And also let's say contact font. We'll give it a padding of 20 pixels, width of 100%, and let's give it a background. We want it to be transparent. So we use color, BG, secondary, RGB, and opacity of 0.8. And let's give it a border radius of 1.5 frame and overflow of hidden and position of relative. And let's select the row and give it a gap of 1 frame and justify content of space between. And also let's select the control and display it to block. And also give it a width of 100% and padding of 10 pixel and margin of 20 pixel. Uh, but that is a 1.5 frame. Uh, so the margin top and bottom is 20 pixel, left and right is 0. And color should be color text. And font size should be 15 pixel and overflow should be hidden. Transition should be the transition variable. And let's give it a border of 1 pixel solid, then RGBA. Let's pass this color 89, 88, 88, and 0.633. Awesome. Let's see border width should be 2 pixel and the size should be known, height should be 50 pixel, and background should be transparent. Now let's on focus, let's give the border color to be color primary. Awesome. So let's select the text area. So let's say text area dot control because it has a class name of control. Let's change the height to 130 pixel and padding of 20 pixel. Let's select the submit button and display the block and give it a width of feed content and a margin of auto and also let's give it a font weight 500 and also a font size of 15 pixel. Now let's select the first column, the second column I need to say, and also we're going to select, let's say n child here, sorry, contact options. Okay, so that is the column, right? We don't even need to add n child because it's only one column there. All right, so let's also say background repeat, no repeat. And let's select the option and give it a gap of 1 rem and the background should be somehow transparent, color BG, secondary RGB, and opacity of 0.8. and a border radius of 1.5 rem. Also, let's select the icon right now, and let's give it a color of color primary, and also a font size of 1.5 rem. And the transitions should be the transition variable we have declared in the index.css and on hover of option, let's select the icon and transform it by scaling it to 1.1. And also, let's go ahead and select the name and give it a font size of 17 pixel and a font weight of 700 and margin bottom of 5 pixel. Awesome. And let's say at media, we're writing the responsive code right now. So at mark weight of 768, we are going to give session container a weight of 100%. That is one row or one column, I meant to say. Sorry. So look at it. And this looks cool. Looks nice. So we can now go ahead and create the next section. Okay. I wrote them those cool here. So let's create the next section and close this. First of all, let's remove this overflow wire in our FAQ. And this looks good this way. Awesome. Awesome. So let's close all these files and let's create the next section. So we're going to create a folder called newsletter. Okay. And within this folder, we'll create newsletter.js and also newsletter.css. And let's import the newsletter.css into our newsletter component. And let's come to app and import newsletter and add it after contact. Awesome. So let's change this newsletter component div to section and give it an ID of newsletter. And also within, let's create a session container. And within the session container, let's create a session header. And within the session header, let's create h2 and let's say stay in the loop. And after the h2, let's create a paragraph and say get the latest travel tips, tips and updates straight to your inbox. Awesome. This is beautiful. Let's now create a form after the session header. Let's give it a class name of flex. And so let's create an input placeholder of enter your email address. And let's create a button. And let's write subscribe now. Click on the button. And let's give it a class name of class BTN. Uh, Class name is BTN and BTN primary. And let's go ahead and write some CSS code for this. So let's select, as you can see, we are having error. Let's solve this error. Let's go to app. Let's go ahead and open app. Okay, the import here is not correct. So let's correct it. And that is cool. Now, let's go ahead and write the CSS code for this. So we're going to select newsletter and we're going to give it a padding top and bottom of the 30 pixel and one rem left and right. Overflow should be hidden. Now let's select the session container and give it a background of color dark. And also, let's give it a background image for let's import use this and press the join and let's give it a color of color white and a border radius of 1.5. Now let's select the font and give it align items of stretch and also give it a gap of 1 rem, margin of 2 and margin top of 3 rem and also let's give it a max weight of 700 pixels and let's select the input and let's give it a flex of 1 and display to inline block and give it a height of 50 pixels and background of color BG secondary. And let's give it a font size of 20 pixels and a width of 1% and overflow of hidden, border radius of 1.5 rem, and a color of color text. And let's give it a newsletter BTN. Let's okay, select the BTN I need to say, and let's give it a font weight of 500 and font size of 18 pixels. And let's write some responsive code. So responsiveness at max weight of 500 pixels. We're going to select the font and give it a flex direction of colon. And let's select the input and display flex it to none. And this is how it looks. Awesome. Beautiful. Now let's go ahead and let's change this value now. Yeah, I think it looks cool like this. No, let's see one here. And I think it's okay like this. Let's take it this way. Let's just go ahead and create the next section, which is yeah, which is footer. So let's create footer folder. Within footer, let's create footer.js, create the footer component within it, and also footer.css, and let's import footer.css into our footer component. And let's change this to footer. The div, change it to footer, and create a block here, and let's say session container here. And within this session container, let's create a column. All right. And within this column, I want to say h2, do this. And let's import the contact info. We need to output the contact info right here. So I'm going to look through this contact info right here. And let's say contact here, key, and we return a div with class name of contact. And also give it a key. And also put, let's say h4 will put the name. And also in hit and paragraph, we're going to output the value. Awesome. So the paragraph has the class name of text muted, and that is cool. So let's also import the footer into our app and add it after the newsletter. And let's close the app. So after this first column, let's create this. So we're going to import footer. This is the footer data here. So we're going to be outputting this right here. So we're going to output the this. So we return a div with class name of column and give it a key. And we are going to output the title, column the title, and also let's look through the links. Okay, in the URL, there is an ordered list. So we're going to output this. So link key. So okay, display to flex. Now we're going to output the icon here first, link to the icon, and we're going to output the label within this. But first of all, let's put this here. Awesome. So this is it. We are done with that. So after this, the outputs, let's come after the session here. So let's after the session container, we're going to put this copy here, the copyright section. So cabins and all right results. Okay, so after this, let's create a paragraph, give it a class name of test method, and let's say this site was beautifully crafted, okay, with love and passion by, okay, so in anchor tag, let's write, you can write your name if you wish. I'll just write my name here, Mr. Adinuba.
Let's take a look at how it looks on the browser. So this is the code and look at the outcome. As you can see, it doesn't look good. Let's add a CSS. So select footer, I'll give it a background image. So let's trace the image is within our asset and let's give it overflow hidden. And also let's select the session container and let's give it a display of grid. And also let's give it a grid template column. We want it to have 4 columns. So write it this way, give it a gap of 1 rem And let's select the H2 and give it a font size of 18 pixel and font weight of 600. Let's also select the H4 and give it a font size of 16 pixel and font weight of 500. And let's select the contact and give it a margin top and bottom 10 pixel, left and right 0. Let's select the UL and let's say list style none. And let's select the LI and align the items to the center and give it a gap of 10 pixel and margin top and bottom 10 pixel, left and right 0. And let's give it a transition. Let's just give it a variable transition and on hover of the li and also on hover of the li, we're going to select the a. All right, so we are going to give it a color primary, and let's select the copy and text align everything within the copy to center and give it a margin top of 1 rem, margin right of 1 rem, margin bottom of 50 pixel, and margin left of 1 rem. Let's go ahead and select the article. So give it a font size of 18 pixel, font weight of 500, and margin bottom of 10 pixel. All right. Now let's write some responsive code. So at max weight of 900 pixel, we're going to okay. Let's just write it. So at max weight of 900 pixel, we're going to select the session container, and we're going to change the column to be two columns. And at max width of 500 pixel, we're going to also select the session container, and we give it a grid template column of 100% so that it will be one column, and text align everything to the center. And let's select the li and give it a justify content center. Beautiful. So look at how it looks like, and this is cool, guys. This is awesome and beautiful. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to animate this. So let's go ahead and animate everything. So we're going to be using a package called AOS. So you can go to Google, search for AOS. So this is the npm. Let's click on this and go to the npm. So let's go ahead and install AOS to this project. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using to animate this project. All right, so come over here and let's start animating from the navbar. But first of all, let's initialize AOS right here. Okay, so let's also import the CSS from AOS. So digs aos.css. Awesome. Now let's import user first where we can initialize AOS. Awesome. Okay, so we say AOS here dot init, and we're going to let's change this to capital letter, and let's pass this configuration. The delay should be 500 millisecond, duration should be 800, and easing should be ease in sign. Awesome, and once should be false so that as we're scrolling and up and going up, it will not just play once, it keeps us animating as we're scrolling up and down. So let's go to the navbar and animate the navbar. So first we need to animate this. Let's come over here and see, look at the settings you can make use of. Look at the possible values of data AOS that you can make use of. So here, let's make use of fade left. Okay, and take a look at it. For example, you see this particular one, home, faded left. So let's add it to the other part, and let's paste it here, copy, and let's paste it right here. And also, we're going to add a delay. Look at it, two of them just came out once. So let's add delay to this second one, and let's give it the value of this delay. Let's give it the value of, let's say 600, and it will come out one after the other. And that is cool. So let's go ahead and implement other ones. So you can see, experiment with this to learn how it works.
But the one we're going to be making use of is data OS and data EOS delay. So let's increase the value of this, and let's add it to the all the LI, each of them one after the other, and increase the value of EOS, so of delay, so that it will uh, work one after the other. Awesome. Now let's also animate these buttons here. Uh, okay, let's animate this, and that is cool. So this button, let's animate this one, and that is cool. So we just paste and make some changes. So that is cool. Let's change this one, 1,200. Okay. Now 1,200, 200, the first one, then the second one is 300, and that is cool. So you see, wow, this is beautiful. Now we have animated this nav bar, and the logo. Let's go ahead and animate the logo, and that's it. Fit right, and the list should just be 100, and that is cool. Awesome. This is beautiful. Now let's go to the header and animate the header. Okay. So we are going to, okay, let's animate the partners first. But we first of all need to, we're not animating the partner, but we just need to duplicate that partner. You remember when we were doing it the other time, I told you the guys that we're going to duplicate the slide so that this scroll will continue, keep on scrolling. So this is the perfect way to do it. The slice has to be duplicated. And let's also make sure we animate it. So data EOS, let's slide it up, okay, and add some delay. Beautiful. Okay. Now the header, let's animate it. Let's start by animating this this guy. Okay. Beautiful. Guys, we're almost coming to the end of this tutorial. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, why not go ahead and subscribe? This channel, I bring to you exceptional projects that you can build and learn modern way of creating web applications. So why not go ahead and subscribe for more videos? And when you even subscribe, you're encouraging me to keep on creating this kind of project. So go ahead and click on that subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. Right. So we keep on animating this, and that is cool. Let's refresh. Look at it. Beautiful. Beautiful. So next, let's go to the next part, which is the uh, the we're animating the services, right? So let's just animate it here. So this let's change this to fade up, and let's make this dynamic using the key. So the key is always number. So just say 500. We want it to be coming out one after the other. Look at it, and that is beautiful. So the popular destinations, let's animate it. So I just start from here, and let's animate this. And this is cool. Let's zoom it up, and let's come over here. Also, we paste here, and let's say fade up, and let's make this dynamic, okay, so that it will be coming up one after the other. So we use the key to increment the numbers, right? Awesome. Now this is cool. Let's animate this button. So we're going to change this to fade up, and let's change this to 1,500. That is beautiful. So let's go to the next, which is about. And right here, let's start animating this. First, let's change this to fade right, and say 700 here. And this grid item also, let's change this to fade up, and that is beautiful. Now, um, let's let's remove this and paste it on the item itself.
think this will be more right if it is on the item directly. So for this div, let's add this here. Awesome. So let's go ahead and refresh. And as you can see, when we scroll, this comes out with smooth transition effect, and that's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Now let's come here and go to the next component, which is white users. So let's paste it here and let's change this to fade left and make this dynamic also. Okay, let's remove this and it's a bracket it's supposed to be. Okay, and let's go ahead and go to the next one, which is testimonials. So right here, let's go ahead and animate the header, the session header. So zoom up and let's copy this and add it here to this div that contains the swipe up. And that was it. Let's go to the next one, which is contact. And let's add it right here on this column. Okay, fade left. And we are going to go into this FAQ. Uh, let's go to FAQ and let's paste it here. Fade right. Awesome. That is cool. Now let's go to the next one, which is newsletter. So right here, let's paste it and make changes, fade up, and let's also add it right here. Awesome. Okay, add the delay, and that is cool. So let's copy and paste it right here. Change this to 800, and that is cool. Let's go to the next one, which is a footer, and add it right here. So let's say fade left and copy it and let's paste it right here. And let's also add the layer, make it dynamic. Okay, key, let's say plus one. Okay, it's okay, that's right. So let's speed up and add the layer. Awesome. Let's change this to 700. And that is beautiful. So let's refresh. And guys, look at the project we have just successfully created. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching up to this extent. And if you have not liked this video and subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Also share this video with loved ones and make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more tutorials. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Thanks. Beautiful.